Cats. Mysterious creatures. Aloof, independent, yet strangely mesmerizing. We've all caught them doing it, staring intently at nothing, their gaze fixed on empty space. A fleeting shadow, a dust mote dancing in a sunbeam, or something more. This seemingly innocuous feline habit takes on a chilling new dimension in the presence of the supernatural. What if those unblinking eyes see something we don't? What if they're sentinels, guarding our world from unseen forces lurking just beyond our perception? Amelia loved her old apartment. It was a place filled with character and history, a sanctuary where she felt connected to the past. The high ceilings gave the rooms an airy, almost cathedral-like feel, while the creaking floorboards added a symphony of sounds that played a nostalgic tune. The musty smell, far from being unpleasant, was like a whisper of forgotten stories, tales of those who had lived there before. Her constant companion in this aging beauty was Whiskers, a sleek black cat with emerald eyes that seemed to hold ancient secrets. Whiskers was more than just a pet. He was a guardian of the apartment's mysteries, a silent observer of its many moods. Whiskers, like all cats, had his quirks. He was a creature of habit, with routines that were as predictable as they were endearing. One of his most peculiar habits was his tendency to sit for hours, gazing intently at the same spot on the wall. His tail would twitch rhythmically, as if he were in a trance, lost in a world only he could see. Amelia, initially amused by this odd behavior, began to notice a pattern. It wasn't just random, there was a method to Whiskers' madness. Every night, as the antique grandfather clock in the hallway chimed midnight, Whiskers' behavior would change. He would become more alert, his eyes widening as if he was seeing something invisible to human eyes. Amelia couldn't help but feel a shiver run down her spine as she watched him. Amelia often found herself reminiscing about the past, looking at old photographs and wondering about the lives that had once filled these rooms. The apartment had a way of making her feel connected to those who had come before her, as if their spirits still lingered in the shadows. Whiskers seemed to share this connection. He would walk through the dimly lit hallways with a sense of purpose, as if he were on a mission to uncover the apartment's secrets. His movements were graceful and deliberate, each step a testament to his feline curiosity. Despite his mysterious behavior, Whiskers was a source of comfort for Amelia. They would often sit together in the evenings, the soft glow of a lamp casting a warm light over them. She would pet him gently, feeling the soothing rhythm of his purring as they shared a moment of quiet companionship. On moonlit nights, Whiskers would sit by the window, his eyes reflecting the silvery light. He seemed to be watching something in the distance, something only he could see. Amelia would join him, staring out into the night and wondering what secrets the darkness held. The old apartment, with its creaking floorboards and musty smell, was more than just a place to live. It was a repository of memories, a canvas painted with the stories of those who had come before. And in the midst of it all, Whiskers was the enigmatic guardian, a sleek black cat with emerald eyes that seemed to hold the key to the apartment's many mysteries. Amelia felt a deep sense of belonging in the old apartment, a connection that was both comforting and intriguing. With Whiskers by her side, she knew she was never truly alone. Together, they were part of the apartment's ongoing story, a tale of history, mystery, and companionship. The playful swishes of his tail turned into violent thrashes. His soft purrs transformed into low growls that seemed to vibrate deep within his chest. But most unsettling of all was his gaze, fixed, unwavering, and filled with an uncharacteristic terror. It was as if Whiskers was no longer looking at an empty space, but directly at something sinister, something that sent shivers down Amelia's spine even though she couldn't see it. Along with Whiskers' nocturnal transformation came other unexplained phenomena. Amelia would hear faint scratching sounds from inside the walls, followed by whispers too low to decipher. The air grew heavy, charged with an unsettling energy. Fear, cold and clammy, took root in Amelia's heart. The logical part of her brain sought rational explanations, but deep down, an ancient primal instinct whispered of things beyond human understanding. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Amelia set up a camera facing the spot where Whiskers would usually stare. She had noticed her cat's strange behavior for weeks now. Every night, Whiskers would sit in the same spot, his eyes fixed on an invisible point in the room, his body tense and his fur standing on end. Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. She had tried to comfort Whiskers, but nothing seemed to help. The cat's fear was palpable, and it was starting to affect her as well. She decided that the only way to find out what was happening was to record it. That night, as the grandfather clock struck 12, the nightmare unfolded once more. The chimes echoed through the house, each one sending a shiver down Amelia's spine. She sat in the dark, her eyes glued to the monitor connected to the camera. The room was silent except for the ticking of the clock and the occasional creak of the old house settling. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest as she waited for something to happen. She didn't have to wait long. Whiskers hissed and growled, his eyes wide with primal terror. His body was rigid, his fur bristling as he stared at the same spot he always did. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as she watched her beloved pet in such distress. She wanted to reach out and comfort him, but she knew she had to stay still and let the camera capture whatever it was that was tormenting him. On the screen, in the very spot where Whiskers' gaze was fixed, a shadowy figure flickered into existence. It was faint at first, just a dark smudge on the screen, but it quickly grew more defined. Amelia's eyes widened in horror as she realized that the figure was moving. It seemed to be aware of the camera, its movements slow and deliberate as it approached the lens. It was fleeting, almost imperceptible, but undeniably there. The figure seemed to waver in and out of existence like a mirage. Amelia's mind raced as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. Was it a trick of the light, a glitch in the camera, or was it something more sinister? She couldn't be sure, but one thing was certain. Whiskers saw it too, and he was terrified. A large, feline form composed of pure darkness stared back at Whiskers, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. The creature was unlike anything Amelia had ever seen. It was as if the darkness itself had taken shape and come to life. The glowing eyes were the only feature that stood out, burning with an eerie light that seemed to pierce through the screen. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine as she realized that this was no ordinary shadow. It was something far more dangerous, something that had been lurking in the darkness, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself, and now it had found them. The recording confirmed Amelia's worst fears. Whiskers wasn't staring at nothing. He was staring at something sinister, something that existed just beyond the veil of our reality. It was a chilling reminder of the ancient belief that cats are guardians of the spirit world, their eyes windows into realms unseen by humans. Legends abound across cultures about cats possessing a sixth sense, their connection to the supernatural deeply ingrained in folklore and mythology. Were cats protectors, keeping malevolent entities at bay? Or were they gatekeepers, their presence ensuring the delicate balance between our world and the spirit realm remained undisturbed? The answer, Amelia feared, was far more complex and terrifying than she could have ever imagined. The shadowy figure on the recording, the scratching, the whispers, they all pointed towards a truth too unsettling to ignore. Something was lurking in the shadows of Amelia's apartment, something that only Whiskers, with his ancient eyes, could perceive. As Amelia sat huddled on her bed, her heart pounded in her chest. The room was dimly lit, shadows dancing on the walls, creating an eerie atmosphere that only heightened her sense of dread. She clutched the blanket tightly, her knuckles turning white from the pressure. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the old house settling. The camera footage replaying in her mind, over and over again, like a haunting melody she couldn't escape. Each frame brought back the terror she felt, the inexplicable events that had unfolded before her eyes. She tried to make sense of it, but the more she thought about it, the more confused and frightened she became. She felt a familiar presence beside her, a sensation that was both comforting and terrifying. It was as if someone or something was watching over her, yet she couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. She turned her head slowly, her breath hitching in her throat, half expecting to see a ghostly figure. Whiskers, his emerald eyes glowing in the darkness, stared at her intently. The black cat had always been a mysterious companion, appearing and disappearing at will. Tonight, his presence felt different, more intense, as if he was trying to communicate something important. His eyes seemed to pierce through her soul, revealing secrets she wasn't ready to confront. A low growl rumbling in his chest, a sound that sent a shiver down her spine. It was a warning, a signal that danger was near. Amelia's mind raced, trying to decipher the message behind Whiskers' behavior. She had always believed that animals had a sixth sense, an ability to perceive things beyond human comprehension. For a fleeting moment, their eyes met, and in that instant, Amelia felt a connection that transcended the physical world. It was as if Whiskers was trying to tell her something, to warn her of an unseen threat. The intensity of his gaze was almost unbearable, and she had to look away, her heart racing. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine, a coldness that seemed to seep into her very bones. She couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen, that her life was about to change in ways she couldn't imagine. The fear was palpable, a living, breathing entity that wrapped itself around her, suffocating her with its presence. In that brief exchange, she saw a depth of knowledge in Whiskers' eyes, an ancient wisdom that spoke of things long forgotten. It was as if he had seen the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of stars. His eyes held the secrets of the universe, and in that moment, Amelia felt both insignificant and profoundly connected to something greater than herself. An ancient wisdom that sent shivers down her spine, making her skin prickle with goosebumps. She was shaken to her core, her mind struggling to process the enormity of what she had just experienced. The room seemed to close in around her, the walls pressing in, as if the very fabric of reality was shifting. It was a look that said, "They are here." The words echoed in her mind, a chilling reminder that she was not alone. The presence she had felt was real, and it was closer than she had ever imagined. Amelia knew that her life would never be the same, that she had crossed a threshold into a world of shadows and secrets. And as she sat there, trembling in the darkness, she couldn't help but wonder what other truths lay hidden in the depths of Whiskers' emerald eyes. Amelia was left with a haunting question. If cats could see into the spirit world, were they protecting us from it? Or were they simply observing, waiting for the moment when the veil would finally fall, and the unseen would be unleashed? The answer, Amelia feared, was blowing in the wind, a silent whisper carried on the back of a cat's stare.